Welcome to Wealthy Women's Conversation Podcast, where we celebrate the incredible journeys of everyday amazing women who are building their own path to wealth and financial security on their own terms. I am your host, Treshelle Williams, and I am so thrilled to have you join us today. Here on Wealthy Women Conversations Podcast, we are all about breaking the mold and rewriting the rules when it comes to creating wealth. Are you an amazing woman that's 40 years old or older who's looking to build financial freedom? Then this is a podcast for you. Our goal each week is to be a beacon of hope and inspiration, no matter your age or money experience level. On this podcast, you will hear from amazing women who have overcome obstacles, defied societal expectations, and created their own version of wealth, success, strength, and resilience. Now, get ready for a heartwarming, relatable, fun, and empowering conversation that will leave you feeling motivated to take action. Together, we'll shatter limitations, challenge conventional thinking, and redefine what it means to be a wealthy woman in today's world. So, let's tune in to today's conversation. Welcome, wealthy women. I am excited about today's podcast. It is going to be a whole lot of yummy. For those of you who don't know who I am Treshelle. I am the founder of Wealthy Women Conversations podcast, and I am just ecstatic to be able to do a conversation that is going to allow me to do a little bit of teaching, y'all. So for those of you who don't know, I said when we first got started with the podcast that you'll start learning little parts and pieces about me and my background and how I got to this space as we go along and as we grow and as we build the podcast and all the amazing guests and all the amazing conversations that we will have that helps you grow your wealthy life. And today I'm going to share just a little bit and also give you the 3 keys of building your wealthy life. Y'all ready? Yes, we're going to talk about 3 keys to building your wealthy life. And what's so interesting is these keys do not start with dollars and cents, honey. They don't. I know. Most people, when they think about building your wealthy life, the first thing they say, how much money do I need? Listen, don't hang up. Don't disconnect, because guess what? These amazing keys are not connected to your dollars and cents, but they are connected to some things that are so very imperative to get to the place where you can have the money life you desire to have. So I wanted to talk a little bit and give you guys a little bit of background about me. Some things that people know or don't know is that my background is in education. A large part of what I have spent my years of education in and my professional career, well, at this stage, not anymore. It used to be more in that space, but it was in education. I have spent a huge part of my life being in school for education. I went to school for my BA for liberal studies in education for teaching. My first master's degree is in urban education. So it was a focus in teaching inside of an urban education, which basically means the nice way of saying, girl, they're teaching you how to be in the hood. Ain't it funny? All my teachers were white. Isn't that an interesting ball? How you teach me how to be in the hood? But anyway, never mind. That's not why we're here. And then my second master's degree is in educational administration, because I too also was a principal. And so I have had countless years and countless moments and opportunities to not only teach, but also to teach others how to teach and to help others learn and engage in information and to gather information and to be able to challenge the information that you may have been taught before that now needs to be reframed or even gotten rid of so that you can move into the next stage of your life. And the awesome and amazing part of that means that you get to grow. The space of teaching gives you the opportunity to not only learn, but you also get to share what you learned. And it also gives you the ability to solidify that and to really ground into that space, because in order to teach somebody something, you got to know something. And I am so excited that I get to share with you all this episode on the 3 keys to building your wealthy life, and that it is not money related. Now, let me tell you why I'm saying that. So the reason why I say it's not money related, because although the people who listen and engage in my clientele are people who look, sound, and come from places like me, I know that that's not everybody, and that's okay. But majority of the women that I engage with look like me, sound like me, and come from very similar backgrounds, which also means they are part of Generation X. Listen, come on, Generation X. Yes, right? And so while TikTok right now is having a whole battle over Generation X, there are some very key things about who we are as a group of people and how we engage in the world and how we engage with what's going on around us. And the reality of it is that some of the things have helped us to be amazing, but also some of those things have helped us to be held back because of belief systems. And one of the things that I have found that so many amazing women who are 40 years old and older, they find themselves holding really tight to their coins. Yes, them dollars and them cents, honey. They hold real tight because that's not how we grew up. We didn't grow up being coached. We didn't grow up in a space where we were paying for therapists. We were our own therapists, right? You better get it in. You better suck it up, right? But the reality of it is, in order to become the better versions of ourselves and the most expansive version of ourselves, is to get the support and the help that we need. And that typically starts with ourselves first. Everybody loves things like sports and like movies and all of those things. But what you don't recognize and understand, or we take for granted, maybe we do recognize it, maybe we do understand it, but many times we can take it for granted. The number of coaches and teachers that are involved to have those people be as expansive and as great as they are. I was reading something and it talked about Tiger Woods, the number of coaches that Tiger Woods had, the number of coaches and that someone like Kobe Bryant might have had, right? The number of acting teachers and classes and voice coaches and all those things that happen. Even though someone is good, they still have people who are helping guide them and direct them. And many times when we think of ourselves in our spaces, we think of ourselves in those spaces from a place of I'm just, a teacher, or I'm just a bank accountant, or I'm just a real estate agent. And we are in those spaces and it is producing income and it's producing financial security and help for us to live our lives. But the reality is that what if I told you what you're doing right now, you could be making 10 times the amount every month. And this is the thing. We're like, how? Girl, ain't nobody playing with you. I don't want to know what you doing. Look, I can see the face. I can see the head moving. I listen, me too, girl, me too. And so I have worked, I want to say tirelessly, to learn and to understand how things absolutely can be manifested in a space where it is better than exchanging time for money. Most of us are very good and very aware of exchanging time for money. And because we've learned that and we know that it works, we do it and we lean into that. The unfortunate thing about that is that it also strips us of our ability to be creative. It strips us of our ability to go out and do massively amazing things, because the security of I'm going to have a paycheck every single month or every single week or every 2 weeks, whatever it is, keeps us in a space where we are real careful. And I get it. I understand. I've been an entrepreneur for years. I'm almost, we're going to 10 years, somewhere around there. And it's been a long time. And I have learned that it is very common in that space that if you don't work, you don't eat, or you don't hunt, or you don't do the things that are required of you, you don't get a paycheck. Whereas if I go on a job, I can go on a job tired and say, y'all figure that out today, and still get paid, right? And I don't think anything is wrong with having a 9-to-5. I actually think a 9-to-5 is amazing, especially if you love your 9-to-5. Listen, I think it is amazing. It is great. It is absolutely wonderful if that is the thing that you want to do. My question for you is, how do you take what you have and how do you allow it to work for you and to multiply? And here's the thing. In order to get to the place where you're living your wealthy life, there are 3 keys that I want to absolutely share with you. And I'm not starting with, girl, you need to go invest X, Y, and Z in X, Y, and Z stock or real estate or whatever. I'm not starting there because we most likely are not there yet. Some of us may be there, but many of us who are just getting started, who are taking the time to consider, dang, I got to now take care of my parents who are aging. And I also, as I heard one person say, we are in a space where Gen Xers are actually taking care of parents and taking care of grown ass kids, right? They ain't kids, but they grown folk, right? And so it's true. It is very, very true. My husband and I had my bonus daughter here with her 2 kids for a little while she was transitioning from one state to the next state. And it took her a little time to find her space. So I understand what it's like to have a grown person, not like 10 years, 20 years, no, like 30 years old, in a space of transitioning from one space to another. And they are coming back to their parents' home in order to do that. Right. And so it is very, very, very common in this space. And so if you are of the Gen X space, that means that you are probably either experiencing it. And if you're not, you know others who are. And that's a real deal. And many of us are like, we ain't got time to be losing no money. And so when people starts to talk about something from a space of, I have to exchange money in order to get it, the space of the Gen Xer, depending on where they are in their mindset, determines whether or not they're willing to listen, they're willing to pay attention, they're willing to make the adjustments or even see the value in it. I do what is called a wealth strategy session for people who are saying, I want to get started, but I just don't know what to do. And everybody, when I start telling them about the wealth strategy session, I start doing that as a means to get people to introduce themselves to what you can do to get started, right? They all look at me a little like, okay, like, is it something I can learn on YouTube? And I know it has nothing to do with me. It has all to do with their mindset. Like, can I find this information for free? And so that is a whole mindset. I understand. I get it. And now y'all know I love me some YouTube University, honey. I'll go to YouTube University, but there are certain things that you just can't get from YouTube. It's just not there. Not because they don't want it to be there or that people can't possibly produce it there. It is that you need a little bit more detail. You need a little bit more insight. And that requires relationship. That requires you to be able to engage with someone. And that is very important. So I want you all to know I get it. And I think you are going to absolutely be okay if you listen to this entire podcast. I promise you, the start of the process, starting is where it's at. Listen, you just got to say yes. Can you say yes? Let's just say yes, right? So we're going to say yes to our 3 keys. There are 3 things that I want us to discuss today. And I'm going to kind of break it down a little bit. I'm going to try to do this as strategically as possible, so that if you are writing this down, or if you are listening to this on your car and you're traveling and you can't write down, you'll be able to go back and you can write the things down so you can get going. All right, so let's get into it. Y'all ready to get into it? Get in there. Yeah. Okay. Let's do it. Because I'll sing in a minute. I'm telling y'all I'll sing in a minute. Now, our first key is mindset mastery. Exploring the importance of developing a wealth mindset and cultivating a positive relationship with money is so extremely crucial. Let me say that again. You have to understand the importance of developing a wealth mindset, which allows you to cultivate a positive relationship with money. Well, most people say, well, wait a minute, I do have a positive, I just want money, right? No, that doesn't necessarily mean you have a positive relationship with money. Many people see money from a negative space. Let me give you an example. If you ever said you get your check or you get money to come in and then a tire needs to be fixed, or you end up, the kids need something, or something happens and you have to spend it. And you say, if it's not one thing, it's yep, if you could figure that out, if you could put what's in that next slide, that means that you have some negative space around money, because what you're saying is that when money comes in, negative things goes out, and that's a negative space. And I want you to understand that. And you have to then understand, you have to flip that to a positive. So the power of belief, self-worth, abundance, mentality, all of those things are a part of the mindset, and achieving your financial goals. The only way to get there is to shift your mindset. Now, shifting mindset is a whole deal, y'all. Like, I have been in the process of shifting my mindset for at least 7 years. Literally, I'm not kidding. And I am so much better than what I was before. I'm so much more aware of what my mindset looks like. But I still have to give myself commands to not do something, to think differently, to put myself in a place where I say that I win, because life will happen. And many times we don't realize that we're also causing and calling. I said causing and calling the negative to us because of our belief system. And we don't really want that, but that's something we end up doing. So it's very important that you understand that there is something to changing your mindset from a negative money mindset to a positive money mindset, from going to, from going from a place of scarcity, there is never enough, to a place of abundance where you have more than enough. Okay. Number 2, let's jump in there. Number 2 is strategic planning. And what does strategic planning mean? That means that you take the time to think about what it is that you want, what it is that you desire, what it is that you're hoping for, what it is that your ideal life look like. So when we're saying building your wealthy life, it is not something that is just known. It looks different for everyone. I was talking to an amazing young lady, and she says, my wealthy life is me living on 10 acres of land, and I have my own animals and my own garden, and I have a house. It doesn't have to be big, but I am on property, on land, and it belongs to me, and I don't engage with nobody. And I was like, that's your wealthy life, honey. I'm all up in community. But that was her wealthy life. And she was like, I finally found the land that I desire. And I think it was like $15,000, and it had a house on it already. And it was like 30 acres, I want to say. And she's like, I think I'm going to go for it. And I said, go for it. Right. Here's the thing. What your wealthy life looks like has all to do with what is important and what is meaningful to you. She strategically had sessions with me to walk out and to plan. Now, what was interesting is when she first came to me, she came to me with a very different goal. And I'm not going to tell all her business because that's not my place to tell her business, but she had a very different goal. And as we start to unpack what really mattered to her, when we started to unpack and answer questions that were very direct and very revealing for her, she realized what she said she wanted was based out of the culture she was living in. And I said, well, what will you do? And what would life look like if you detach from the culture? What would life look like if you detach from what TV or TikTok or whomever is saying what to you? What would make your heart sing? And so we created a strategic plan for her to find that space. We created a strategic plan for her to put a plan together on how she wanted to get it. And literally it was a 3-year plan, and she's already in the space, and it's about a year. It ain't even 2 years yet. It's about 18 months, right? She's already there, but I gave her permission to give herself permission. Like, I opened the door that allowed her to think outside of what was being said to her. I gave her the space. I held space for her to be okay, that you are safe, that you are covered, you are protected, you are well in this conversation, and you can venture outside of the lines. And if you venture outside of those lines, what does it look like for you? And that is why strategic planning is so important. Most people plan based or out of what they think or what the world is doing, not necessarily what their heart is asking for. And sometimes you can't get to the space of your heart on your own because there's so much noise around you. And so I want you to understand how imperative that it is for you to allow the noise to just come down low, breathe low, get into that space and allow you to think. And that is what strategic planning is all about. It is literally about your ability to know what your goals are and creating a plan to achieve them, from the front to the back to the back to the front. And many times there is things that you'll need to talk about, like financial literacy. You'll talk about things like investing. You'll talk about budgeting if it's necessary, and creating streams of income if that's necessary. But strategic planning is an amazing tool that gives you effective steps that allows for you to walk it out to do great and amazing things for your wealthy life. Your wealthy life is not going to look like anybody else's, and that is okay, right? I just want you to know it's okay. And so that's number 2. So number 1 was what? Mindset mastery, right? Number 2 was strategic planning. And number 3, y'all ready for number 3? I'm ready for number 3. Are you ready for number 3? Personal growth and empowerment. This thing right here is emphasizing the role of your personal awareness, self-development, empowering yourself to get access to the things you desire. It is important for you to continuously be in a learning space and building confidence to make the huge leaps of faith that you will make. It's required to make to get to your wealthy life. Many times we don't realize how much fear plays into our space of making decisions. And sometimes we don't realize that we have self-limiting beliefs that it's going to cost too much. It's going to require too much. I'm not smart enough. I'm too old. Here's the thing about the too old thing. We have conversations so many times because I do engage with women who are 40 and over a lot. And the space of I'm too old shows up so often. And I'm like, honey, listen. The level of the wisdom and the ability to rationally think and to be able to have the capacity to navigate multiple things at one time, your age is giving you all the good, all the goodies, right? And so if you are in a space where you are having limited self-beliefs and you are not really standing in your confidence and knowing that you are capable of doing any and everything that you have put your mind to and you desire to have, you will find yourself missing out on some amazing things. And I do understand. We might not be able to run as fast as we used to run, but we can still run. We might not be able to break it down low, because those knees may not sustain us that low, but that's all right, because we can still get back up and we can do what we need to do. The reality of it is it's important for us to understand that if you are growing personally, that if you are putting the time in to grow your awareness, there is always a way. There is always a way. I'm going to drop this little nugget for you guys so you can understand. One of the number one things that I would find so often with my Gen Xers that would come to me is like, I've always wanted to be in the real estate game. I always wanted to do this, but I have to take care of my kids and I have to take care of my parents, and they have all of these financial obligations, but they still want to be in that space. And so it really put me in a space to really say, you have to find a way that allows for them to be able to win in that space. And there has to be a way. And I just said, I know that there is. And I opened myself up to ask the questions. I'm willing to ask the question, where is it? Where is it that someone who has a limited budget, that they can still get into the space of being real estate investors? How is that? Is it possible? Where? And I know it's possible because I have the question. And here's the thing that my mentor, rest in peace, used to say all the time. He would say that if you have the question, there is an answer already there. There is no question that there isn't an answer to. You just are unaware of it so far. And so because you are unaware of it, you may think it's not possible, but it absolutely is possible. And so you just have to be confident and brave. Come on, be brave. Be brave. Come on now. Be brave enough to ask the question and be open enough and willing to receive the answer. And immediately I started to get these insights and this information, and I ended up coming across a couple companies that allows you to invest in real estate for as low as $25 a month. Yep. And I was like, listen, we spend more than $25 going out to eat for brunch, honey. We can do this, right? And so when I opened that door, it gave so many people the space to understand that it is possible. It is a possible thing to get the thing that you want, but you have to be in a space where you're going to grow yourself to a place that allows for you to say, I might not know the answer, but the answer is there. Okay. So personal growth is so very important because you can only go as far as what you believe. What is it that you believe? What is it you believe about somebody who is your age, in your circumstance, in your situation? Do you think they can win massively, right? If you don't believe that, that is the space that you want to grow in so that you can then start to have the rewards that you desire to have. Now, is it a journey? Honey, is it a journey? It is definitely a journey. But it is a sweet, amazing journey that if you decide to get on it and you decide to join our community, we have a Wealthy Women Academy community where we do all of this all the time. And you get in there and you show up and you say yes, and you start to push buttons that you would have never pushed before, and you start to see results that you didn't know that was possible, and it becomes so much greater, so much more amazing because you're creating the wealthy life you desire. The client that is in the process of purchasing the land, I am so extremely glad and proud of her because when she walked in, honey, the level of what she was saying she wanted versus what the desire of her heart is so very different. But she's creating the wealthy life that she wants. And that's what matters. So I challenge you all to consider, what is your mindset? What is it that you believe about what you can have? And if you haven't done a strategic planning session, listen, find one of them links somewhere. You can find a link somewhere. We can have a conversation about your strategic planning process, but also be willing to grow. One of the easiest things to do to grow in personal growth is to get a book that will allow you to grow. And I got a lot of them. we reading up in here, honey. There's so many small, massively amazing books, and I don't want to drop any of them now. Actually, I probably could drop a couple of books that you could actually look into and pick up and read. The month that I am reading right now, the book that I'm currently reading is called It's About Damn Time. It's about being a venture capitalist, because I desire to be a venture capitalist. I desire to help people fund their businesses, right? But there are quite a few books that are out there. Last month, I read the book that's called The Laws of Luck, and it's by Brian Tracy. Another mind-blowing book that I've read that is so awesome and amazing is called, which is a month and a half ago, it's called The Courage to be Disliked. The Courage to be Disliked. And honey, it just gave me all the things, all the psychological acrobats. I'm sorry, not robotics, but acrobats that I do in my thoughts and in my brain that I always have all these questions, y'all. That's just who I am. I always have all these questions, and I always want to know the answers. And I'm like, if I ask the right questions, I can get some amazing results, right? Another book that was life-changing is called The Psychology of Money. And that's by Morgan, I want to say Halsell or something like that. But The Psychology of Money was really good. And so those are a few books. If you haven't done so yet, of course, y'all, one of the first books, if you haven't read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, is a game changer. I will say, let me say something about Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I had read Rich Dad, Poor Dad before. And what was interesting about me reading it before, I think I was too young. I didn't get it. It wasn't as impactful at that moment, because I was enjoying life at the limited space that I was in. It wasn't until I had my life moment that I realized the importance of me understanding how to allow money to make money for me. So I had my pain issue, right? That painful point, that pain point that hit very differently, and things weren't in place the way I would have loved them to be in place. And so then I really went back to read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And at that time I realized, listen, that was what was necessary. I needed this. That it was a whole different ballgame. I was like, I know I read this book and I don't remember none of this like this. And it was life-changing. So if you haven't read any of those books, those are some great starters for getting to this place to start your wealthy life. You have to build it. You have to design it. You have to determine what it is. Let me say that you have to build it. You have to design it. You have to determine what a wealthy life will look like for you. Without you doing that, that is not anybody else's responsibility. You don't have if you don't build. You don't have it if you don't design it. We won't have it if you choose to not put in the effort or the brain power to say, this is what it is that I desire to have. What does that look like? And it's bigger than, I want a house, right? It's bigger than that. My client says she wanted to be off grid. She wanted to be off grid, and off grid life looks very, very different from somebody saying, I want to live in a penthouse. That is a very different ballgame. And so you have to determine all the parts and pieces. What does it look like when you wake up in the morning? What does it look like when you're going to bed at night? What does it look like when vacation's time, when you want to take a vacation? What are you doing? What are you saying to yourself? What are you saying to your family? Are you saying, oh, I can see, maybe I'll be able to go? What are you saying to your girlfriends? What are you saying to the people you love? Are you saying I can't go because I can't get the time off? Or are you saying, girl, just give me the dates and I'll put it on my calendar? What type of life are you living? That's a choice that only you can make. All right. All right. Well, that is it for me today. That was our 3 keys to building your wealthy life. I'm so excited that I got a chance to do that with you all. Yes. Now, for those of you who are inside the Wealthy Women Conversation Facebook group, y'all are used to me having all the conversations and doing all of this. But those of you who are not, come on back. We have more guests that are going to be coming up in the next several weeks. And I'm excited to share their stories with you. Every once in a while, I will drop a lesson that I'll be teaching, and it's just me. But what I want you all to, and it's that bonus lesson, like, ooh, that bonus just dropped. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot, because it is hot. It's hot and it's awesome and it's amazing. And so I want you all to, think about it, consider it. If you're not a part of the conversation, join the conversation. If you are not a Facebook person, just stay right here, honey. We're going to be right here with you. I'm just saying. I do love you all. Have an amazing rest of your day, your evening, or whatever time you are listening to this. And I will see you on the wealthy side. Have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Wealthy Women Conversation Podcast. We hope you found inspiration and wisdom as we sat at the table to grow and learn with our amazing guest who has paved the way for her own financial freedom. Remember, you hold the power to create your own version of wealth, success, and fulfillment. No matter where you are on your journey, it's never too late to take control of your financial future. Keep seeking knowledge, exploring opportunities, and embracing your unique strengths. Together, we're challenging the norms, shattering limitations, and redefining what it means to be a wealthy woman in today's world. Join us for future episodes as we share captivating stories, insightful advice, and practical strategies to support our wealthy journey together. If you enjoyed this podcast, please don't hesitate to return next week, where there will be another amazing, brilliant, and absolutely captivating guest to speak on what it takes to build your own path to wealth and success. Thank you for tuning in to the Wealthy Women Conversations Podcast. Stay focused, determined, and strive for the wealthy life you desire. Until next time, I'll see you on the wealthy side.